Math 1, Unit 3 review for the exam. Look at number 1. It says find the slope of the line that passes through these points. I'm going to use my slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. So I'll call this x1, y1, x2, y2. And then I plug them in. I like to use parentheses. So y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. You can go ahead and add the opposite, so that's positive 1 over 8. Write in point slope form. Okay, point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Call that x1, y1, and that's my m because the slope. So I say y minus negative 11 equals negative 5 times x minus 7, minus negative 7. So how we would actually see that, erase that so it looks a little neater. Alright, so it'd be, if I add the opposites, plus 11 plus 7. And then it says take the problem we did above it for number 3 and put it into slope-intercept form. So that means solve for y. Get y by itself. So I'm going to rewrite what I got up here. So I'll distribute negative 5x minus 35. I'll subtract 11. And I get y equals negative 5x minus 46. And that would be my answer right there. Number 4 says find the x and y intercepts. So remember, you make the other one 0. So if I want to find the x-intercept, I make the y 0. If I want to find the y-intercept, I make the x 0. So let's find the x-intercept first. Okay. So I'm going to say negative 5x plus make the other one 0. Okay, so I get negative 5x equals negative 30 divided by negative 5, and my x-intercept is positive 6, right? So kind of writing that x equals 6 right there. And then for the y-intercept, I make the x 0. Okay. Divided by 10, and that's my y-intercept right there. Then it says find the y-intercept for y equals the absolute value of x minus 3. It remains the same. The technique is the same. If I want to find the y-intercept, it doesn't matter how complex the equation, you make the other variable 0. So it's just going to be y equals the absolute value of 0 minus 3, or absolute value. That's the absolute value of negative 3. And then y equals positive 3 when I take the absolute value. Number 6, we want are the following lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So to do this, I need to look at the slope. So this one's in point slope. So I've got the slope right there for that one. It's just this one. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to solve for y and put it in slope-intercept form so I can find the slope. So y equals a negative divided by a negative is a positive, or I can think of reducing negative 1s minus 6 over 5. So I'm only concerned about the slopes. And they're the same. If the slopes are the same, they are parallel. They're parallel. If the slopes are the same, they're parallel. So this says which apply. Okay, so when it says, if they say something's a solution, that means you can plug in this x and get that y, or what we call f of x. So if I can plug in a 10 right here and get a 1, then that one works. If I plug in a 0 and get a 3, plug in a 0 and get a negative 3. So we got to just test them because it says all, so there may be more than one. So we'll start with this one. I'm going to say 1 equals 3 times over 10 minus 3. I'm testing this one, right? If I plug in a 10, I should get a 1. So I'm assuming I'm going to see if it happens. And that gives me 30 over 5 minus 3. And that's 1 equals 6 minus 3. Okay, so that doesn't work. I'm going to try this one here. Give myself some room. 3 equals 3 over 5 times 0 equal minus 3. So multiply by 0. And I get 3 equals negative 3. And that is not true. Okay, but that's it right there. I just tested it and it worked. I did get that one. So this one works. Okay. Now I'm going to test this one. I'm going to see if I get a 3 here. Plug in a 3 and see if I get a 10. So I'm looking at 10. Oh, sorry. Well, I actually tested that one over here, right? I plugged in a 10, and if I keep going with this, I do get a 3. So see, if I plug in a 10, I do get a 3. So those two apply. The following represents a linear function showing the distance between the distance Bob has traveled. All right, so it says find the slope. So remember, slope is the change in y over the change in x, right? And that little triangle, that's a delta symbol. That's just a symbol for change. Okay, how much it changes. So this is going to be my x value, and this is going to be my y value, right? So if I change here, I change 2, okay? And then how much do I change? It looks like 90, right? It looks like 90 for every single time that I go up. Okay. So we're looking at the change in y, which is 90, over the change in x, which is 2, and that reduces to 45 over 1. Okay. Find the average rate of change between 1 and 5. Well, so that means how much do I change from here to there? Okay, well that's 4. That's an x change of 4. And how much do I change from here? Okay, well that's 180. Right, if I subtract those out, well if I reduce this, I take a 2 out, then I take another 2 out, I should get the same thing. Should get the same thing. Okay, moving on here. Number 9. Find the rate of change. Find the slope from x equals 3 to x equals 5. So same thing here. If I look through this, I see how much is it changing, right? And this is actually increasing by 5. This is increasing by 5. These are increasing by 1s. So my average rate of change is 5 over 1. This is my y value. F of x is like a y, right? So 5 over 1. And then down here, what about this one? So how much do I change from 3 to 5? Well, that means for that one changes plus 2, and that's my x change. Then how much do I change from here to here? That's positive 10. Hopefully we realize that that is going to come out the same. Right, it's always going to come out the same.